Good Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. We've got some updates for you on the big storm system that's going across the United States right now. We've got stuff going on along the West Coast. We've got stuff going on along the East Coast. We're going to talk about all of it right now, starting with a national view of the future radar. Okay, this is what the radar could technically look like as we go into the future. Starting off today around 4 p.m., we're going to have some showers and thunderstorms down here from southern portions of Mississippi up through southern portions of Alabama, maybe into the panhandle of Florida, and then getting into Georgia a little bit. There is a pretty good chance that a couple of these will rotate enough to spark a tornado warning or two. We saw a couple of those this morning and yesterday in Louisiana, so make sure you're keeping an eye on these today. But the main threat's going to be some gusty winds and some heavy rain. Flash flooding is definitely going to be a problem, especially in Georgia there as these storms move off to the north and east. While these storms are moving, the rainfall is going to really fill in here in the mid-Atlantic up into the northeast. We're going to see some heavy rain, and then the snow is going to start filling in on the backside. Let's actually put this into motion and talk about that a little bit. By 2 a.m. on Wednesday, December 11th, we're going to start to see some heavier rain breaking out in interior portions of the northeast, all the way down to New York City, Baltimore, Delaware. You guys are going to be getting in on this, and the winds are going to start picking up as well during this time. Also, notice how as the cold front moves by, we're starting to see the lake effect snow machines turning on here on Lake Michigan, and this is going to happen across all the lakes as we go into the future. Basically, the winds are going to be flying out of Canada at this direction, essentially, as the low pressure system moves off to the east, and that's going to allow for a lot of lake effect snow. Not before we see a ton of rain and wind on the front side, though. This is going to be a major storm impacting tens of millions of people. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're going to start to see some of those stronger storms maybe taking place down here in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. We're going to start to see the winds really picking up in the mid-Atlantic regions up towards the I-95 corridor. Heavy rain from Maine all the way down to Myrtle Beach and everywhere in between. And notice how we've got some backside snow trying to break out here in my neck of the woods, eastern Kentucky, eastern Ohio, West Virginia. It's going to snow very hard for a very brief period of time in the morning tomorrow, likely after the morning commute and before lunchtime. This will drop a couple inches of snow very quickly, maybe a little bit more than that in the higher elevations, but this is going to be a brief hitting snow. It's not going to be there for a very long time. Notice how that's going to continue up into Pittsburgh and western portions of New York as well. Behind that, there's going to be some snow squalls that might impact your day as you're heading home from work on Wednesday in Illinois, Indiana, maybe over there towards Louisville and Cincinnati. These will be hard-hitting snow squalls, I believe. And then around that same time, we've got severe storms maybe working their way into eastern portions of North Carolina. Some maybe strong, damaging winds moving into places like New York City, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Boston. Get ready. We are going to have some major winds. The Storm Prediction Center is keeping an eye on this. We've got a marginal risk of severe weather tomorrow for 42 million people from Boston all the way down through the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Wednesday, December 11th. Make sure you guys are keeping an eye on that. Right now, in my opinion, the best chance for severe weather is likely going to be right here in extreme eastern North Carolina, southeastern portions of Virginia, and maybe Maryland and Delaware as well. This is where I think we've got the best chance of seeing some of those strong damaging winds, likely around noon through 3 p.m. or so on Wednesday. And then the storms get a lot stronger actually as we get towards the evening hours around 7 p.m., but they're all going to be out to sea. So once again, like I mentioned yesterday, the severe weather threat's going to be a lot worse for our fish out here. There's really no threat to land once the main storm comes together. And this would be a really bad storm if this was hitting, the East Coast at this stage. But thankfully, it's out to sea. But still, just north of that main squall line there, up into places like Cape Cod, eastern portions of Maine, there are going to be some intermittent hurricane force wind gusts, I believe, as the storm really starts to deepen and move off to the east. Here's our snow squalls continuing to move into Ohio and Kentucky. Lake effect snow is going to be a big problem in the UP of Michigan at this time. And our next system you can start to see over here moving into Oregon and California around Wednesday at 7 p.m. Rain and snow is going to continue to be a problem in the north and east as we go through the evening on Wednesday. Snow is going to take over in southern portions of Ontario and Quebec as we go into the early morning hours on Thursday. And then the system's really going to be cleared out of here by 6 a.m. on Thursday, December 12th. What it's going to leave behind is a huge area of much cooler air. It's going to be a frigid morning for a lot of us on Thursday, and the lake effect snow machines are going to be continuing continuing here, and they're not going to let up anytime soon after that system passes. And there you can see our next one is very much in view at this point. So severe weather is on the table for our friends up here in the Northeast, especially along the I-95 corridor. But I think the biggest problem we're going to have is just with wind, even outside of thunderstorms, non-thunderstorm wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour around 4 p.m. tomorrow, all across Massachusetts, maybe even higher than that, all across Connecticut and Rhode Island. There are some portions of Long Island, once again, I think that we'll see hurricane force wind gusts intermittently. It's not going to be constant 70 mile per hour winds, but it will gust up that high a couple of times, maybe even higher than that on Cape Cod. 80 mile per hour winds are going to be possible here as the storm really starts to intensify during the evening hours on Wednesday. And then same thing over here along the coast of Maine, and this will continue to be a problem up there towards Nova Scotia. So keep that in mind as you plan your day tomorrow. It's going to be a windy day. It's going to be a nor'easter without the snow for a lot of us over here in the Northeast. All the snow is really going to be reserved for the lakes. Lots of snow possible, couple feet off of Lake Ontario. Looks like around a foot off of Lake Michigan here. And then in the UP of Michigan, I think there's a couple places that will get well over a foot. The direction of the winds is going to be kind of like this right here. And it's going to be like that for a couple of days. And the lakes are still relatively warm. So that's going to cause lots of convection. And we're going to see just a ton of snow in some of these places where we're used to it at this point. Another couple of feet coming to areas just south of Buffalo over the next couple of days. Outside of the snow, we've got rain. In fact, we've got an excessive rainfall outlook in place today for North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. Slight risk of flash flooding today. That moves up to the north and east as we go into Wednesday. Slight risk from Connecticut and Rhode Island all the way up through the entire state of Maine. Get ready for maybe up to 3 or 4 inches of rain in a very short period of time, especially in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine there. Yeah, just a lot of rain all across the eastern side of the United States. And this is a welcomed thing because a lot of us are in a drought over here. This will be really relieving rainfall for you guys in New Jersey and Delaware and Maryland who really need it. Same thing for you guys up there in Massachusetts as well. It's not going to be a drought busting storm, but it's certainly going to help. And although we are in a drought and we welcome the rain, there are flood watches and flash flood watches in effect, and this will likely cause some flooding problems, so keep an eye on those creeks and streams. And speaking of droughts and dryness, it's also really dry right now in southwestern California, and that is leading to this. We've got an extremely critical fire weather outlook today for Santa Clarita, areas just north of Burbank and Oxnard, up here in the mountains around Los Angeles. We've got a lot of problems. We've already got a bunch of fires around Malibu. More fires are going to happen. They're going to spread rapidly. This could be on par with some historical fires of recent memory. There's a PDS red flag warning in effect. It is unfortunately going to be a bad day today in Southern California for wildfires. They're going to spread rapidly. I expect to see tons of evacuation orders, so make sure you're paying attention if you live in and around Los Angeles and Ventura counties down here in California today. The winds are going to be roaring at 40 to 50 miles per hour and gusting at 60 miles per hour. And in the mountains, there's going to be a couple places that see 80 mile per hour wind gusts. It's dry. We're talking about single digit relative humidity levels. So the smallest thing is going to spark a fire, and then there's tons of dry fuels out there to burn. So unfortunately, this is going to be a widespread and particularly dangerous, disastrous fire situation if fires get going. And unfortunately, they already are. So make sure you're paying attention to your local weather service and your local officials for those evacuation orders. And this will hopefully be over soon. Outside of that, I'm looking into the future. I still see pretty good shots of some more snow as we approach Christmas. We've had some really good setups so far, but nothing's really actualized into a major East Coast storm that brings snow. The one we're seeing right now is bringing more rain and severe weather than snow. But snow's coming, okay? And we've still got meters. Surprisingly, we've got some left, even though we've shipped out a bunch of them to you guys. Thank you for going over to shopryanhall.com and buying them. It helps us out a lot. They're still on sale right now. No code necessary. Just go over here to shopryanhall.com, click which one you want, click your color, and we'll ship it to you very quickly, hopefully before the next snowstorm. And of course, we're still doing that thing. Whenever we do get a big snowstorm for a lot of people, we're going to go live. And if you send in your snow measurement, we're going to randomly pick somebody to send $1,000 to. It's really fun. And yeah, shopryanhall.com. Get yourself a meter today. Also, the 24/7 live channel is still going. We've been streaming over here for about 800 hours consecutively. And And Yalaba is just relaying warnings as they come in. Like I said earlier, there's a chance that we see a tornado warning or two today. The moment that happens, Yalabot's going to zoom you into that and show you what's going on there and relay storm reports and real-time data and all that good stuff. If you haven't checked this out yet, go over to the Ryan Hall Y'all Extra channel, where it is just keeping up with the fires, it's keeping up with the flooding and everything in real time. And this is a free resource that we provide to everybody. So link in the description if you want to check that out. And that's pretty much all I've got for you today. All right. Unless something big changes tomorrow, I might not make a video tomorrow, but definitely tune into this channel and tune into me on Twitter for rapid fire updates. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.